When we talk about God never changing through attributes such as His impassibility and His immutability, there can be this misconception that those theological categories which are delivered to us in a classical doctrine of God are in tension with or even contrary to the Bible in scriptural language, because in the Bible we sometimes have expressions of regret or seeming change in God. So how do we put these two together? Unfortunately, there's some writers that are very happy to set Scripture against this classical theology. But I would argue that classical theology of God's attributes arise from Scripture. But not just one text here or another text here, but by putting Scripture together, reading Scripture with Scripture. The principle of Scripture, interpreting Scripture, is a very important one. And I think on this particular issue, we can just go to one chapter and actually observe the tensions that I am speaking to and see their resolution. And that chapter is 1 Samuel 15. Because in 1 Samuel 15, we learn of God's regret at making Saul king. Saul entered into disobedience and rebellion. And in 1 Samuel 15:11, God expresses regret at the actions of Saul. Interestingly enough, though, later in that same chapter, we learn God say that He is not like human beings. He does not change His mind. He does not regret. And so we have to put these things together in our minds. And I think there's a helpful category given to us by a theologian from the Reformation, John Calvin. He talked about a lot of scriptural language being an accommodation to us into our human understanding. And so when God in 1 Samuel 15 expresses regret, this is a way of God lisping to us for us to understand God's disapproval over Saul's disobedience. But that disapproval is consistent with God's unchanging, righteous, just character. And His character and who He is in His attributes is unchanging. And when there is regret, this is an expression in response to actually something changing in us, because we are human beings. We are given to change, especially in light of our sin. In theology, we have a word for what's going on in 1 Samuel 15:11, where God is expressing regret. And that word, it's a big word, anthropopathism. Anthropopathism is an attribution of a human emotion to God. And so we're taking something like regret and attributing it to God, not suggesting God is just like us, but as a way of understanding God's posture towards sin, such as Saul's sin in this passage. God is unchanging, and isn't that great for us? He is our rock, He is our fortress, He is our deliverer, and we can rely on His unswerving character, that His promises that He has given for redemption in Scripture will remain true because He Himself is unchanging.